A very good morning. Once again, we continue to give you that wall-to-wall coverage of the funeral of the late AmaXhosa King Zwelonke Sigcawu. The family is still viewing his body inside the royal household, the royal homestead, the Nqadu Great Place inside. It started with a ritual that sought to connect the king to his ancestors, and indeed a time where it is the last time that he enters this royal household in today and after, when he will be buried later on. But right now I'm joined by the Eastern Cape Premier Oscar Mabuyane. Premier, thank you so much for your time. A sad time for the royal family and the whole Xhosa nation as they bid farewell to their king, who passed away 4 years after he was coronated in 2015.
Good morning to you, Busisiwe, and also good morning to viewers at home. Indeed, a sad moment for the Xhosa nation, for the province, of course for the country as well. Understanding the history that was made here, being a first king that was coronated in the post-apartheid democratic dispensation, and also being the first king to depart. We are really setting the history as well, and development of the policy on how we look after kings moving forward. But we are also here to celebrate life that was well lived, life that has contributed so immensely in the upliftment of people's lives, in the development of this area, not only this area, but the province. His views contributed a lot in shaping the policies on how best can we deal with issues of our people in rural areas, and how to deepen the rural development concept that we have been actually punting. So we have lost a partner, we have lost a community builder, we have lost a leader, we have lost a king. Surely we will be less with him moving forward, but we know there can't be a vacuum. There will be others who come in. We'll have to take it from where he left off and move forward.
And speaking of supporting kings, there's been an outcry over the support that government gives to kings and their kingdom, and also an outcry about the state of roads. Some are complaining that the road is not tarred, and in fact a grader was grading the road so that people will be able to come in when they come to the funeral.
Well, the ANC government is compared to none on the work that it has done in actually recognizing the traditional leaders. Because there is no ANC without traditional leadership here. ANC is actually what has been bequeathed to us by the traditional leaders. It's an offspring of traditional leaders themselves and the clergy. So there can't be an issue that seeks to suggest that the ANC government is not really doing enough. Wherever you go, even here, we are working hard to ensure that we address the shortcomings that traditional leaders is complaining about. Wherever we are, we've got a voice. We've set up houses of traditional leaders in the local government spheres, provinces and nationally. So we're working with traditional leaders to address a number of issues that we cannot address overnight. It's also not really entirely correct that these roads have been graded simply because there's a funeral. Already there was a plant here working on these roads that are around here, because it's an ongoing exercise maintaining the gravel roads. Yes, of course, this road in particular, King has been requesting government for some time this road to be tarred, to link it up here, etc., because it also connects to Butterworth from this other side. So these are areas that we're basically looking at as part of us moving forward. Unfortunately, in the Eastern Cape, we are moving from a very low base, and we've got a huge infrastructure backlog. You need about 60 billion for you to really deal with the road connection network in the province. We've got about 2 billion a year in our equitable share for the road infrastructure. So it tells you we're going to take some time, but working with government in a very integrated and coordinated way, national, province and local, we'll be able to actually overcome. These are not really insurmountable, and we'll be able to deal with them as we move forward, because we're tackling them.
And lastly, Premier, there's been calls that the jailed King Vuyelekaya Dalindyebo, that he be given time to come and attend the funeral. And for those who have not been updated, do you know where that process is? Is he coming? Is he not? What's the process? What is?
Well, calls might have been correct and relevant because this is how people have always been throwing their ideas around. It's a matter that is in the public interest. We can't run away from it. But sometimes people would have to be led, and they must wait for the direction. They must ask. Sometimes ignorance can be dangerous as well. King himself, having approached the correctional services that King be considered for this leave to come, and King himself said no. He's not really thinking like that. He will be able to come at a later stage to visit the family, having been allowed through the proper processes. He doesn't want to create any distraction. He wants all of us to come here and focus on the funeral of the king and give the last respect and to the king. So it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal at all, and we are working on that. And the application has been made by a number of institutions that would like to see President sorting out the issue of the king. It must be legal. We are in a constitutional democracy. Laws that are here are laws that actually supposed to be observed by all of us in the country. So it's not a really big issue, and I would really like to appeal to our people to really honor the king's views as well on this matter in particular.
And just lastly, does that mean that the province is also supporting the call for King Buyelekai Dalindyebo to be given pardon by the president?
Of course, yes. Of course, yes. We would love to see that through a proper process. We would love to see that because we don't want to send mixed feelings, send different signals. Remember, ordinary people were affected in this, and King was not just there simply because something didn't happen. We've got to take a very balanced view on that and take into account also those people who probably were victims of the circumstances. So, but of course, I think King has served his time there, and King really needs to be integrated. So we believe that with the due process, without an unnecessary due pressure, processes must be followed, but the King at some point and be given.
Thank you so much, Premier. Right now we take a short break. Stay tuned to Morning Live.